You think you know where the world's money is hiding. You picture islands, beaches, and Swiss vaults. You've heard the stories of offshore accounts and shady deals in tropical paradises. But the biggest financial black hole isn't overseas. It's not in the Caribbean. It's right here. The world's most aggressive wealth protection system is built on the US dollar. Hidden in plain sight, protected by state laws in Delaware and South Dakota. Trillions of dollars shielded by trust laws designed to make the rich untouchable. While your taxes go up, the ultra-wealthy use legal loopholes to pay absolutely nothing. This is the story of America's secret tax havens and the financial privacy that costs you everything. It's time to expose the system. Welcome to the truth about wealth, trusts, and your taxes.
When you think of a tax haven, what image pops into your head? Maybe it's a pristine beach in the Cayman Islands, where billionaires sip cocktails while their money hides in offshore accounts. Or perhaps a sleek vault buried deep in the Swiss Alps, guarded by bankers in expensive suits. You've probably heard the stories. Panama Papers, Luxembourg leaks, shady deals in tropical paradises. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. The world's biggest, most secretive tax haven isn't on some distant island. It doesn't use Swiss francs or hidden codes. It uses the US dollar, and it might be just a few hours' drive from where you're sitting right now. For decades, politicians and media outlets have pointed fingers at offshore accounts, painting them as the villains of global finance. But what if I told you that while everyone was looking overseas, the real financial black hole was growing right here, onshore? You're probably thinking, no way, not in America. But here's the thing. Investigators just ranked the most secretive financial systems on Earth. And when the results came in, they shocked everyone. It wasn't Switzerland. It wasn't Singapore. It was the United States. We're talking about a system so powerful, so deeply protected by state laws, that it hides trillions of dollars from tax authorities, foreign governments, and even victims of crime. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely change how you see your own country, and why your taxes keep going up while the ultra-rich pay almost nothing. This is the story Wall Street and the trust industry lobbyists don't want you to fully understand. They call it privacy and financial freedom. But in reality, it's an invisible tax on honest citizens like you. If you believe everyone should play by the same rules, whether you're a teacher in Ohio or a billionaire hiding wealth in Delaware, I need your help right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, should foreign billionaires be allowed to hide their money in US trusts, tax-free, while you pay income tax every single year? Your voice matters here. And if this story resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe, because silence is exactly what protects this system. The more people who see this, the harder it becomes to ignore. Let's keep this conversation going, together. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to the very beginning, to what I call moment zero. Picture this. It's 1792, and Delaware creates something called the Court of Chancery. At first, it was noble, a court designed to deliver fairness when rigid common law couldn't. But then something shifted. By 1899, Delaware wasn't thinking about justice anymore. They were thinking about survival. The state was broke, and they were watching their neighbor, New Jersey, rake in cash by registering corporations. Delaware saw an opportunity and decided to beat them at their own game. They passed the General Corporation Law, crafted to be the most business-friendly legislation in the world. And it worked. Today, more than 1.5 million entities are registered in Delaware. That includes over 60% of the Fortune 500. Think about that for a second. A state with fewer than 1 million people hosts the legal address of some of the most powerful corporations on Earth. But here's where the story takes a darker turn. The real transformation, the moment the United States became a fortress for dynastic wealth, didn't happen in Delaware. It happened in 1983, in a place you'd never expect. South Dakota. Governor Bill Janklow was facing a crisis. His state was struggling economically, and he needed a solution fast. So he did something radical, something that would change the financial world forever. South Dakota abolished the rule against perpetuities. Now, if you're not familiar with that term, let me break it down. For centuries, English law had a simple principle. You couldn't lock up money in a trust forever. Eventually, that wealth had to be distributed, taxed, and returned to the economy. It was designed to prevent the concentration of power in the hands of a few families across generations. South Dakota looked at that rule and said, "Forget it." They created something called the Dynasty Trust. Suddenly, the ultra-wealthy had a new weapon. They could park their assets in Sioux Falls, and those assets could grow, compound, and multiply, tax-free, forever. No estate tax, no inheritance tax, no accountability. Just eternal wealth, hidden behind layers of legal protection. Imagine being able to pass down billions of dollars to your great-great-great-grandchildren without the government ever touching a dime. That's not a loophole. That's a system designed to protect the powerful. And it gets even more insane when you realize who's using these trusts. We're not just talking about American billionaires. Foreign oligarchs, corrupt politicians, drug cartels, they've all figured out that the safest place to hide their money isn't some secret island. It's right here, protected by American laws. Now I want to go even deeper into this, because what happened next is where things get truly mind-blowing. Other states saw what South Dakota was doing and realized they were missing out on a gold mine, so they started competing. Alaska, Nevada, Wyoming. They all started offering their own versions of these dynasty trusts, each one trying to outdo the other with even more secrecy, even fewer restrictions. It became a race to the bottom, and the people who lose, everyday taxpayers like you. Because when the ultra-wealthy hide trillions of dollars in these trusts, that's tax revenue that never gets collected. That's money that could fund schools, hospitals, infrastructure. Instead, it sits locked away, growing in the shadows while the rest of us pick up the tab. If this is starting to make sense to you, drop a comment and just write, "I see it now." Let me know you're connecting the dots with me. Now I want to go even deeper into this, because understanding how the trap actually works is where everything clicks into place. This system relies on two psychological triggers that make it nearly impossible to trace: anonymity and complexity. Let me show you exactly what I mean. If you want to get a library card in most cities, you need to prove who you are. You bring your ID, maybe a utility bill, and they verify your address. But if you want to set up an anonymous LLC in Delaware, you don't need any of that. When you file the paperwork, you don't list yourself as the owner. Instead, you list what's called a registered agent, a person or company that gets paid to receive your mail and act as your legal stand-in. And here's where it gets wild. There's a single building in Wilmington, Delaware, at 1209 North Orange Street. It's not a skyscraper. It's not some high-tech fortress. It's just an ordinary office building. But that one address is the legal home to over 285,000 companies. Think about that. Trump has entities there. So does Clinton, Walmart, Coca-Cola. Some of the biggest names in business and politics share the same mailbox. It's not because they're all doing something illegal. It's because the system is designed to hide ownership. This setup allows for something experts call layering. Picture this. A criminal opens a company in Delaware. That company is owned by another company in Nevis, a tiny island in the Caribbean. And that company? It's owned by a trust in South Dakota. Now watch what happens. One company, inside another, inside another, inside a trust. It's like a Russian nesting doll, except instead of wood and paint, it's made of legal entities designed to confuse investigators, block subpoenas, and make it nearly impossible to follow the money. And South Dakota takes this concept to an even more terrifying level with something called the quiet trust. In a normal trust, the beneficiaries, the people who are supposed to receive the money, have to be told about it. That's basic transparency. But in South Dakota, the law allows the creator of the trust to keep it completely secret from the beneficiaries. Think about how insane that is. You could be the heir to $1 billion fortune and never even know it exists because someone decided you shouldn't. It's a black box. And even if a court somewhere tries to crack it open, South Dakota has statutes that automatically seal court documents forever. No public record, no paper trail, no accountability. They market this as privacy protection. They say it's about keeping families safe from lawsuits or protecting people from gold diggers. But let's call it what it really is. It's a getaway car for financial crimes. It's a system built to shield the powerful from consequences. And the crazy part? It's all perfectly legal. South Dakota didn't break any laws to create this. They just decided that their laws would be designed to protect wealth at all costs, no matter who that wealth belongs to or where it came from. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is policy. This is the decision powerful people made behind closed doors, knowing most of us would never pay attention. But now, you're paying attention. And once you see how the pieces fit together, you can't unsee it. Drop a comment and write, "I see the layers now." Let me know this is making sense to you. Now you might be thinking, okay, so some rich people are hiding money. Good for them. Taxation is theft anyway, right? And look, I get that argument. But here's the thing. This isn't about some libertarian ideal of keeping what you earn. This is about shifting the burden onto you. When US multinationals and foreign billionaires funnel their profits into these tax-free black holes, that's money that never goes to roads, schools, healthcare, or reducing the national debt. It's not like they're just opting out of the system. They're still using the system. They're just making you pay for it. Let me give you some numbers that'll make your blood boil. Between 2016 and 2021, the world lost $1.7 trillion to corporate tax abuse. And guess who the biggest loser was? Not some struggling developing nation. It was the United States itself. We lost over $271 billion in tax revenue because our own companies used these internal tax havens to dodge paying Uncle Sam. That's not a typo. That's $250 billion that could have rebuilt thousands of crumbling schools, repaired bridges on the verge of collapse, funded healthcare programs, or helped families drowning in medical debt. Instead, it's sitting in trusts in South Dakota and shell companies in Delaware, compounding interest for people who will never even notice it's there. But here's where this story takes an even darker turn. The cost isn't just financial, it's moral. When the Pandora Papers were leaked in 2021, investigators discovered that South Dakota trusts were holding millions of dollars for individuals accused of horrific human rights abuses in the Dominican Republic and brutal labor violations in Brazil. We're talking about money tied to people who exploit workers, destroy communities, and operate with total impunity. And it doesn't stop there. Money linked to the Cartel of the Suns in Venezuela, a network of high-ranking military officials involved in drug trafficking, found a safe home in Delaware LLCs. Think about that for a second. A violent drug cartel, responsible for fueling addiction and violence across multiple continents, is protected by American corporate law. Not by some corrupt dictator on a tropical island. By laws passed in Delaware and South Dakota. By becoming the world's bank for dirty money, we're not just staying competitive in some global financial race. We're facilitating corruption on a massive scale. We're enabling dictators to hide stolen wealth. We're giving human traffickers a place to launder their profits. We're providing a legal fortress for people who would never be able to operate this freely anywhere else in the world. And the wildest part? The people running these systems don't see themselves as villains. They see themselves as heroes of the free market, champions of privacy, defenders of wealth. They'll tell you this is about protecting families, about giving people financial freedom, about keeping the government's hands out of private business. But strip away the marketing, and what you're left with is a system designed to let the powerful escape accountability while the rest of us pick up the tab. This isn't capitalism. This is a rigged game, and every single day it continues. The gap between those who benefit and those who suffer gets wider. Right, this is rigged in the comments if you're starting to see just how deep this goes. So who's keeping this system alive? Who benefits from making sure nothing changes? The answer is simple. Follow the money. In South Dakota, there's something called the Governor's Task Force on Trust Administration. Now that might sound like some boring bureaucratic committee, but here's what it really is. A group of industry insiders, trust lawyers, and bankers who literally write the laws to make the state more attractive to billionaires. And here's the kicker. The legislature passes these laws, often unanimously, without debate, without pushback. It's regulatory capture in its purest form. The people who profit from the system are the same people designing the rules. They're not hiding it. They're proud of it. They call it business-friendly policy. But what it really means is that a handful of wealthy elites get to decide how the game is played, and the rest of us don't even get a seat at the table. And on the federal level, it gets even worse. The United States has a law called FATCA, the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. It forces other countries to share their banking data with us. If you're a foreign bank and you have American clients, you have to tell the IRS everything, no exceptions. We demand total transparency from the rest of the world. But here's the twist. We refuse to join the Common Reporting Standard, the global framework that over 100 countries use to share financial information with each other. So while we're forcing everyone else to open their books, we're keeping ours locked tight. We demand transparency from everyone else, but we offer secrecy to anyone who parks their money here. It's the ultimate double standard, and it's not an accident. It's a strategy. Because secrecy is a product, and the United States is the world's biggest salesman. For every loophole created, someone gets richer, quietly. Now, there was a moment of hope. In 2021, Congress passed something called the Corporate Transparency Act. It was supposed to be a game changer, finally forcing companies to report their true owners to the federal government. No more hiding behind shell companies. No more anonymous LLCs. It was supposed to bring the US in line with the rest of the developed world. But then something happened. Under immense political pressure, lobbying from the trust industry, from corporate lawyers, from wealthy donors, the Treasury Department effectively gutted the law. They created exemptions for 99% of entities and suspended enforcement for domestic companies. The law still exists on paper, but in practice, it's toothless. It doesn't apply to the people it was designed to target. Why? Because the people with the most to lose are also the people with the most power. They don't just play the game, they own the referees. And the result is a system where the decisions being made behind closed doors have a massive impact on your life, even if you never see it. Every time a billionaire hides their wealth in a South Dakota trust, that's tax revenue that doesn't go to fixing the roads you drive on. Every time a foreign oligarch parks their money in a Delaware LLC, that's money that could have funded healthcare, education, or infrastructure. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as intended. It's just not working for you. Drop a comment and write, "Follow the money." Let me know you're seeing the pattern here. Now, I know this feels overwhelming. You might be thinking, what can I possibly do about this? I'm just one person. And I get it. This system is massive, deeply entrenched, and protected by some of the most powerful people on the planet. But here's the thing. There are cracks in the wall. And every major transformation in history started with people who refused to accept that the game was rigged forever. So let me show you where those cracks are and how this system can actually be challenged. First, we need to demand reciprocity. Right now, the United States is actively blocking global efforts to tax billionaires fairly. While the rest of the world is trying to create a level playing field, we're standing in the way because secrecy is profitable for us. But there's a movement gaining momentum, the UN Framework Convention on International Tax Cooperation. This is a new approach that takes rulemaking power away from the OECD, which has essentially been a rich boys' club for decades, and puts it in the hands of a truly global coalition. It's not perfect, but it's a step toward fairness. And the more people demand that the US participate in good faith, the harder it becomes for politicians to ignore. Second, we need to support right-to-know laws. There are organizations like the FACT Coalition fighting every single day to reverse the Treasury Department's gutting of the Corporate Transparency Act. They're pushing for real transparency, the kind that actually forces companies to disclose their true owners. And here's the thing. Transparency isn't a burden on small businesses like some lobbyists claim. The mom and pop shop down the street isn't trying to hide who owns it. The only people who benefit from anonymity are the ones using it to dodge accountability. Transparency is the only way to stop the weaponization of our financial system, and it starts with demanding that our representatives stop caving to lobbying pressure. Third, and this is crucial, financial awareness. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, you need to understand that the privacy services being sold by these states often come with massive legal risks if you're not fully compliant. There are companies out there selling the dream of tax-free wealth and total anonymity, but they don't tell you about the potential consequences. They don't mention that if you're ever audited, if there's ever a legal dispute, the layers of secrecy that seemed like protection can become a trap. Don't fall for the hype without understanding the real cost. And beyond these specific actions, there's something even more fundamental at play here. This system only survives because most people don't know it exists. The moment you start talking about it, sharing this information, questioning why things are the way they are, that's when the power structure starts to crack. Because the biggest weapon they have isn't money or lawyers or political influence. It's silence. It's the fact that most people never even think to ask, wait, why is this legal? The truth is, this isn't just about tax policy or financial regulation. It's about power. It's about who gets to write the rules and who has to follow them. And right now, the rules are written by people who benefit from keeping you in the dark. But knowledge is the first step toward change. Every person who understands how this system works is one more person who can't be fooled by the rhetoric. One more person who can demand accountability. One more person who refuses to accept that this is just the way things have to be. Write "Knowledge is power" in the comments if you're ready to be part of the shift. The United States was founded on the idea of no taxation without representation. But today, we've created something far more dangerous, a system of representation without taxation for the ultra-wealthy. Delaware and South Dakota have built a fortress of secrets, and right now, the American taxpayer is footing the bill for every loophole, every hidden trust, every layer of anonymity designed to protect the powerful. If you made it this far, you're part of the small percentage of people who actually understand how the global financial system really works. And now that you see it, you can't unsee it. That knowledge matters. So drop a comment right now and write, "I see the system so I know who's truly paying attention." And if this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, hit that like button. It helps this message reach more people who need to hear it, and honestly, it lets me know this kind of content matters to you. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. I'm breaking down the strategies, the loopholes, and the hidden truths that the powerful don't want you to understand. Every video on this channel is designed to give you clarity in a world built on complexity. And if you want to go even deeper into how the wealthy manipulate the system, I've got a video right here that breaks down the buy, borrow, die strategy, the exact blueprint billionaires use to avoid paying taxes legally for their entire lives. Click it, watch it, keep learning. Thanks for being here, and keep your eyes open. The game is rigged, but the more people who understand how it works, the harder it becomes to ignore.